we have uh we have our good friend Steven Sharif back today. Hi Steven.
Sorry about that. I was muted. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing good. For those of you that in the community don't know this guy, I think he's somebody important over at Intrepid Studios. What is it?
Yes. Oh, sorry. That was my cue to introduce myself. I didn't catch that. Yes. Hi, guys. I am Steven Sharif. I'm the creative director and founder at Intrepid Studios.
So I do have to say, now that you're on a little bit bigger of a camera, we've already captured the background. We're gonna parse through all of your reading material behind you because we have to know you. So
Oh no, I don't even know what's up there.
oops.
Hold on. Let's see. Is there anything bad? No, there's nothing bad. I'm sure. It might give some insight to my reading categories.
So the first question is, are you tired yet?
I am tired, but there's, of course, things that re-energize me, and anytime really I get to interact or see the response of the community after a video or after a live stream or whatever, those typically tend to recharge my energy banks, I guess, my batteries.
When was the last time you slept in on a Saturday?
Oh, last time. Oh, I don't even know. It's not that I choose not to sleep in. It's that, like, ever since really kind of starting the project, my typical wake up time, just my body does not let me sleep past like 5:30 a.m. But I always used to kind of be a kind of um, early waker, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I see you. I don't sleep much, but I see you on like after I go to sleep. You're on before. Sometimes I get on the. I'm like, I know my life, and I can't imagine trying to run a company with the little amount of sleep you actually get.
Yeah, it's at a certain point your body is conditioned and it becomes accustomed to a certain number of hours. So I mean, I will typically go to bed at around 1:30 or 2, and I'll wake up around 5 or 5:30, and that for me is good. I'm fine with that.
Well, if you decide to take a vacation, I know I sent you the picture of the butterbeer truck
Oh
last
yeah,
week.
how was that?
That was good. I think that we should arrange an Ash's family meetup at Universal Orlando next fall for Halloween Horror Nights. Like, just not like sponsor it, just say Steven's gonna be there this weekend. Everybody book your trip.
That'd be kind of fun. We've done events like that, at PAX or at Gamescom, and that was a lot of fun getting to meet with people. It'd be cool to do like a organized Ashes meetup trip to some like theme park or something.
All right, guys, you heard him. I'm gonna organize that. I'm gonna start like 12 months in advance. I'm gonna send him a memo. We're gonna get that going.
That'd be cool.
So I think yesterday was a big day for Intrepid. Something like really big happened.
Yeah, we announced the dates for the Alpha 1 testing schedule. Um, and it's always a fun time when you get to announce those things. I think early on in the project, I was definitely very gung ho in kind of making transparent our internal schedules. But the thing about, kind of learned along the way was that your internal schedules can change a lot based off of things that sometimes are outside of your control, based off of unknown unknowns, and I think we kind of pulled back a little bit the reins on announcing dates until we're much more confident that we'll be able to hit them. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for something to happen and delays to occur. But generally, because we keep dates very close to the chest, we mitigate a lot of that potential, I would say.
Sorry, you being here has caused me to have to wear a hat. So I have There's a hype train in the channel going on, so I must put the hat on. It's a contractual requirement.
Nice.
Uh,
Love it.
I just want to say I bust your chops all the time. So I want to say this to you. First of all, you said I don't have to say it, but I am going to apologize to you anyway. Anybody who watches that video, I do want to just reference back to the video I was talking about. I got kind of quoted on a context, but Steven brought it up to me. Guys, I do owe Steven a apology, even though he doesn't want one. I was referencing when Steven gets heated, and I said it in the video. Steven gets heated, I get heated. Human nature is to get heated. I said in the video, Steven needs to shut the fuck up and let his public relations company and Margaret handle some things when he gets angry. But I also, if you guys watch the whole thing, I also say I get angry, Steven gets angry. And I said Steven has brought it back into control. So even though you said I don't owe you an apology, I do bust your chops. So I feel that I did owe you an apology of that. If it bothered you, I don't know if it bothered you or not.
I actually didn't watch it. It was just something that someone had mentioned to me. But no, I like I came into this industry and into, this project being a gamer first. So I understand, what it's like to be on the other side of the screen. And I guess, I'm not the perfect PR person, but that's not my aim. My aim is to be essentially one of my community members. They say in marketing, the best marketing person is a person who understands their audience. Well, I take it a little bit of a step further. The best marketing person and or developer is a person who is their audience. And there is a lot in the gaming community who are, gamers obviously, but in the gaming development community who are gamers first. But my aim isn't to be super buttery smooth on the PR side or, perfect in that regard. I just want you guys to know, like, when I'm talking to people in Discord or on the forums or, through the letter or whatever, that position isn't a rehearsed or isn't a, scripted type of interaction. It is who I am, and it is what the company's aiming to be. So yeah, sometimes I might get heated, and that heatedness can come from when you're with people every day who are working endless nights to provide something that's going to make, our fans proud. It can sometimes hurt, to hear things. And I don't even know what we got heated about with each other. But yeah, anyways, that type of relationship I think is healthy. I think it's okay.
And I do want to say, you haven't seen the video yet, so that's okay. But when I said, I think people, a lot of times, I think I'm starting to get quoted out of context, which is okay. But I actually said, you're like my little brother. We like argue. We get heated because we're passionate about the project. I get frustrated on your behalf when people are just not knowing what they're talking about. And it just irritates me on your behalf because you don't got time to be irritated. You got a game to build.
That is true. No, I can appreciate that for sure. I mean, there are some, there's some interesting things said out there, but I can understand why they're said. We've been through a lot as a community and a lot of different developments and promises that are made. And sometimes when you go through, the ringer so many times, we get jaded. But that's why I've always said, that's fine. If as a viewer or as a fan or follower, the ideas you hear excite you, but you don't have the patience to kind of sit through development, then just come back later when, the game's ready to play. Take a look then, and there's no harm done. I encourage people who are in any way, shape, or form either skeptical or whatever, don't buy a pre-order pack. Don't even, necessarily, if following development gets you too, flustered or upset or impatient or whatever, take a step back. We're going to keep trucking no matter what. We're building the game. And it is definitely beneficial for us as developers to hear words of encouragement. That is a recharge for the batteries, as I said previously. It is a motivator. But there's not much that it does for us as a team to hear. I don't want to say criticism. Criticism is good, but to hear, I guess, just bullshit. You know,
it's funny. One of the things in my community, I always tell people, I said, you have the right to go to the forums and say this sucks, but then don't expect Intrepid to actually give that feedback any look over. It's going to go in the pile of, okay, we got a this sucks comment, put it in the pile. And I said, a better comment is this sucks because, but an even better comment is, this is what I see, and then both sides of the argument. And then you might see that and be like, oh, this isn't a this sucks comment. Let me read into this. And I've seen you on the forums. You dive into some of them on occasion, but you very rarely engage with just the pure 100% toxic people.
Right. Yeah. So, I've obviously I have wielded the banhammer a few times, and I will say that there's 3 categories of community feedback. There's the feedback that you describe where somebody just says this sucks, and to be honest with you, I might actually push back a little bit on your statement. This sucks isn't super informative because you don't indicate why it sucks per se, nor do you indicate a resolution to it sucking. But saying something sucks is still feedback a little bit. We understand that the sentiment towards a feature or system is not positively engaging with the player. So I would say it's even okay to come and say like, hey, this sucks. It's better if you come and say, this sucks because, or this would be better because, right? Because that gives us your, insights. But the third category is the worst category. And that's when it's like an outright lie or shade, right?
Yeah.
When it's like,
absolutely.
A couple of years ago when we didn't have, a lot of stuff to show, right? And there wasn't a semblance of the game that's present, and the alpha state wasn't per se ready. We had a lot of people come and say, this is a scam, a pyramid scheme, and whatever. And that stuff is the third category that's just trash. Like, that's toxic. It's not beneficial to anything. And it's just an outright lie. So those things were hard to listen to. But the other two, like just saying this sucks or giving this sucks with an explanation, I actually, those things are good. That's player feedback.
Well, I'm gonna go the 180 on that. Your letter yesterday, I'm gonna say that letter was amazing, and
thank you.
I'm gonna say it's the best one you've done, and that's saying a lot.
Is that just because of the dates?
No, and there's pages here. I actually printed the script this time, but
nice.
But your first letter that you did crushed it, and it's been interesting for me as able to watch you grow as a leader, as a developer, because obviously retired military officer, and that's why you're allowed to call me Chair Force. You got a little bit of that military schooling early on. I do cardio, you don't. But
that's true.
But watching you grow,
I did, however, just start a new diet. I will say I started a no carb diet, and I've been extremely irritable over the last week because I just started it. But there's still no exercise. I need to change that.
How does Herman feel about the no carb diet?
Herman's upset. Herman is definitely. John is still eating Herman, but I unfortunately cannot.
I don't think you realize how bad that sounds because people don't know who Herman is.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. Herman is a starter, a yeast starter, essentially for bread. That we named him Herman. So yeah.
So later on for Halloween, there's going to be a Hannibal Lecter mask on John's face, and your soundbite, John is eating Herman.
Oh no.
So, but yeah, it wasn't just the fact that you released dates, and I don't think that made the letter the best one you've done. You laid out a roadmap, and we've been like begging for, because we feel like we're broken down on the side of the road. We don't know where we're going. We don't know how far the next gas station is, how far the rest stop is. We don't even know how far we have to walk. You gave us the next 6 months, and both as Ashes testers and as just MMORPG players. There are people who now know, hey, I can go commit to another game for 6 months because it's not right around the corner. So that's why I think you knocked this one out with this CD letter.
Yeah, back to kind of the original comment I made is that, early on I was very gung-ho and kind of giving dates. And, of course we want to provide as much detail as possible with a roadmap, but it's a delicate dance between, hey, what can we share that we can commit to and are confident will hit, versus sharing something and having to walk it back. Like, there's a credibility scenario on behalf of the company that has to be maintained so that you as players, as a community, can establish a rapport of trust and understanding with us, the developers. So there's a walk on that fine line. And yeah, of course, I want to share as much as possible. And if this were a perfect world where, the understanding was superb on behalf of all types of players, because players exist in different categories, right? You have like the super interested and the super like following every word in every monthly live stream, to the person who's just an impression that just kind of glances at the project or maybe a headline. And on that scale of players, you have the ability as a developer, as a company, to make the wrong impression, and it scales further down that uninvolved player list that you go. And sometimes you never recapture those users. I am a firm believer, however, that when the project launches, that it will be probably one of the largest MMORPG launches of its time. And that's simply because of the amount of momentum and a number of pre-registered users and exposure that's been present in the MMORPG genre, the community itself at large, and the quality of visuals versus the answer of mechanics that players have wanted will yield a significant interest at launch. So I'm not too concerned about recapturing, impressions early on that maybe, hey, we have a long development cycle, and our goal is to focus on creating a quality product that has a good launch. We're not beholden to a publisher or investors to hit certain dates and rush something out. We can take the time necessary, albeit with, grain of salt, because we have a community that's hungry, but we can take the time necessary to ensure that the product is as advertised and is of a quality that is expected of the community we've garnered thus far.
All right. Well, you caused me to jump ahead to the last page of the interview because you went into it. Now, you know me, I'm the Kool-Aid man. Sometimes you open a door and I'm just going to bust all the way through. October 2018, we had a content creator meeting. I wrote the memo because the person that was going to do it wasn't there. October 2018, there were 800,000 registered accounts. Not trying to put you on the spot, but and you don't have to give us an exact number, but it's definitely north of 1 million at this point. North of 2 million?
It's almost 3 million as of this date. Yes.
I will take that. And then the other one, you were talking about quality products. Are you a fan of Henry Ford's business management? And do you know what I'm talking about when you're talking about quality products?
You'd have to elaborate on the Ford.
Sure.
I've read so many different positions on product quality and company dispositions.
Henry Ford's philosophy is that a company that focuses on the quality of the product will only have one concern about their profits, and that they will be embarrassingly large.
Sure, absolutely. That's the if you build it, they will come philosophy. Yeah. So I mean, your first objective, and I am obviously a fan of this, is whenever you have a product-based company, right, and you have a to-consumer monetization, there's a few philosophies I think that have taken place in the MMORPG genre. You either build for retention, you build for a splash, right, or you build off of what's going to satisfy a niche market, right? Those in my opinion are kind of the three focuses. Building for a splash is essentially consigning yourself to the fact that you can't compete with the big boys, and you want to recoup the money that you've invested and a little extra, and then you'll take those assets, you'll reuse them, you'll sell them, you'll divvy up the company, whatever you want to do, right? We've seen a lot of MMORPGs do that, and a lot of them got our hopes up, and that's kind of I think the jadedness that comes from the community at large. And then you have larger projects. Many of them start with a pre-existing IP as a launch pad. These are games that are typically built for retention. They're going to build in a way that answers certain metrics and data, essentially to expand upon the amount of time a player essentially exists in their game. This, I think, lends itself more to the if you build it, they will come philosophy, where your focus needs to be 100% on the product, not so much on how you can leverage pay to win monetization gimmicks, or repeated fresh start servers, or whatever, right? Those I think my objective has always been, hey, I have a dream of what type of MMO I would love to play. It's a crossbreed with many MMOs I've played in the past, kind of cherry picking the good systems as inspiration. And it's also one of my other major, fan as a gamer is the Civilization series, where you kind of empire build and that kind of stuff. And I took those philosophies and I originally incorporated them in a Pathfinder campaign using kind of the Building Kingdoms expansion. And then when I decided to make Intrepid, that campaign I decided to adapt into an MMORPG. And our focus right now is, yes, the community interaction is great. The open, transparent development is good. I believe it's the future of these types of games in development. I think there's always going to be AAA companies that are keeping things close to the chest, because yes, there is a danger being in a competitive market space that you're going to have companies come along and cherry pick some of your ideas as well. But traditionally, I think the best way you can create the best product is by incorporating the players' feedback as part of the process. And that means being open with kind of what your design philosophies are, what the mechanics and systems are going to be, the alphas and betas that exist. These types of things create a perfect feedback loop for the company to take opinions, throw out tests, get more feedback, take opinions, throw out tests, iterate. That circular development process will eventually yield, I think, the perfect, the good long-standing experience that players are looking for, the years-long campaign in an MMO that many of us are nostalgic about. With our first MMO we enjoyed, whatever that may be, there were likely for many of us, there were years of enjoyment that was garnered out of those experiences.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm very long-winded.
Oh no, because a lot of people were thinking this was going to be my usual 60 minutes of Steven on the hot seat, asking you game stuff. This is all basically dialed into that CD letter because people need to see you that way as well. And I already have you booked for like April of 2021 for a hot seat. So one thing, was it hard for you to not, because you loved a leak. You loved a leak. Was it hard to not leak what was in the creative director letter?
I would normally say yes. However, the previous couple of months, with the amount of testing and some of the challenges we saw, particularly in September and in August, kept me very, very busy. You may have noticed I probably have not been as as present on Discord or on different mediums because I've been so busy. So that sometimes helps to curb my my leaking desires if I'm so busy with stuff going on in the project. Sometimes I neglect that, but that's why we have a great community team, so they can pick up where I neglect.
Something I did see, and you touched on it, and we showed it. Did it make you happy to be able to kind of go back to your original roots of doing this roadmap? Because I know you loved the idea of transparency, and you talked about it earlier in the interview. You said you don't want to release a date you're not 100% sure you're going to meet. So did that make you like happy that you're able to get back to your roots, that I want to have this aggressive schedule?
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm still in my roots internally. It's just that
Right.
that internal perspective isn't as shared openly until we're pretty confident. But yeah, of course, I know that I knew that when giving the letter, obviously dates are going to make people happy, because it's something that is, it's something that people can put some specifics around. They can. I'm trying to think of the word. Sorry, my brain is mush as usual. Yes, it does make me happy to share dates, because people get excited around those, and they appreciate them. But also it's scary too. And when you have something
that's where I was trying to get you to. I wanted to see if you were going to walk into it scary.
Well, sometimes, I mean, you can have the best planning possible, right? And you'll never know the unknown unknowns. And anytime you give something to people you care about, and I care about our community, and anytime you give something to them and there's a potential, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there's a potential that you could disappoint them, that's scary. I don't want to, I don't want to disappoint my community. So that puts a little bit of pressure on performing, which is, I think, a good thing as well. I think anytime you have some pressure to perform, you're a little bit more on your A game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, there's a mixture of excitement, of scariness, of everything that goes into it. But yeah, no, I mean, overall, it's a good thing.
So that pressure to perform will be when I jump your back wall and I steal your laptop and you don't do cardio. You're going to be incentivized to run faster.
Yeah. I don't know about that. You'd have to make it past the guards first. We'll see. And the dogs. The dogs will also grab you.
I'll just throw a sandal to your dogs. They'll be distracted.
That is true. That'll definitely distract Silas. She likes to grab the sandals and nest with them. Riley, on the other hand, really doesn't care. But unfortunately, Riley's 14 now, so she's partially deaf. So she probably wouldn't hear you jumping the wall, so that's okay.
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing with my cat. My cat's been to the vet like 3 times. Old cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, one thing I did want to address on the screen. Sometimes people just can't be happy with what we have. And we have a 6-month roadmap. People have already started saying, and I want to kill this one right away, that Alpha 2 is starting in like June of 2021. Even though nothing you put out yesterday even remotely hints at that. This is our 6-month roadmap. We got till May 6th, and then that's it. You're not committing to anything past May 6th of 2021. So there's no Alpha 2 right behind Alpha 1.
Absolutely. So from a date and expectation standpoint, the only thing I can commit to players 100% is that the delivery of this game will be ready when it's ready. And what that means is, and the way you want to take that, is that we are 100% committed to a quality product, to a game that is going to include all of the features that we have discussed, and is going to be polished, and is going to run well, and is going to be thoroughly tested. And the amount of time that's going to take is, and this is a little bit of my development maturity happening, is amount of time that's going to take is the amount of time it's going to take. And we're going to keep you updated along every step of the way with our monthly live streams, with our development updates, with our articles, with the interviews that I do, with the videos that we release. So you can watch that development in real time. But you have the commitment from myself and the team that the delivery dates are dictated by the quality of the product. And, that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
One thing I didn't get to ask you in July, and and I didn't write it down for today, but you just hit it. In your first creative director letter, you sort of committed to weekly updates, and I think that's unrealistic. I do you think that I think that's unrealistic that there's going to be a weekly update every week. Can we just say that was probably unrealistic, just so people aren't expecting it? We're going to get updates as you have updates to give us.
Sure. Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate. I think originally, and we had a lot of updates going on, but with the last 7 months of COVID, that does make some of the plans we had, especially with regards to video content, a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I would say that you can expect regular updates from us, and those updates will come when they're ready. I don't want to necessarily give us a quota we have to hit per se. So
Right.
I guess,
No,
of course, yeah.
That's actually why I've told people all year, they didn't do a video this month. I said, yeah, COVID. There's the videos you put on the screen, the 4K gameplay that you do yourself. That's still a video. It's not a dev diary. It's not dressed up. It's not pretty, but it's substance. It's the meat.
Right, for sure. And I think it's important through the videos that we provide, and we'll be doing a lot more videos as the Alpha 1 client kind of gets through the polish and bug fixing phases. You're going to see a lot of video content, kind of giving you and players a perspective on the game's development. And yeah, as we've kind of released the 4K videos, you'll see people, they look at it and say, this looks great. This looks playable. This looks better than most games that I have played on release. But at the end of the day, you have to understand the goalpost for me and for the team is far beyond what people are seeing now. And in the letter I said, you ain't seen nothing yet, and that's because it's true. If you look back a year, 2 years ago, and you do comparisons between the footage in 4K you see, just over the last 2 months, versus the footage we released early on, it almost looks like a completely different game. And that quality is that improvement rate is almost exponential up to a point. As our artists continue to refine their process, make additional passes on assets, make additional passes on animations, incorporate UI and tutorial systems, and content gets fleshed out, all of those things start to coalesce into a pretty awesome looking game, and we're really not at that point yet where people get to actually see, wow, this is indicative of the state of the game at launch. We're still very, very early, I think, in the presentations we're making. And we hope that the direction you see progress, for those of you who are watching, constantly and seeing, our updates and whatnot, we hope that as you see these updates, you're seeing that trajectory in progress. And that trajectory continues, it continues.
In the August live stream, you talked about some Castle Siege stuff inside of Alpha. Does that mean Castle Siege mode in Apoc is off the table?
No, it is not off the table yet. What I will say is, we reached essentially Apoc's Castle Siege mode. To touch on that for a second, so Castle Siege was initially implemented in what we call the MMO branch, right? Apoc had a separate branch, and this is in reference to source control, like Perforce that we use, essentially, where we keep the depot of our source code and assets and whatnot. So there's different branches that exist there. So the Castle Siege system was originally in the MMO branch, and we plucked it as a system out, its code, its logic, its assets, whatever, threw it into the Apoc branch, which was a more session-based, easily testable component. But it would take some additional work for us to get it going there. And right now we're just kind of focused on how we can incorporate some components of that test siege potentially in Alpha 1. And that just means that we activate that system on a timer with registration and utilize the PvP affiliation logic. And if that's the case, then in Alpha 1, we could see intermittent Castle Siege events that players would participate in. We're still going to see that's kind of a lower priority than many of the other systems. Why? Because that particular mechanic is pretty straightforward. That has been done in games previously. So we're not as concerned with the data revolving around that particular system, and it's already coded. So it's not necessarily a huge priority, but it will likely make it into the Alpha 1 testing.
Alrighty, and then you're not going to believe this, but people want the Battle Royale back.
Why does that not shock me? So what I would say is that that right now, in order to focus on the alphas, I've allocated all hands on deck to that. And there is something to be said for, as a gaming company, having a live service operational that requires the dedication of a DevOps and live ops team to monitor and update would be a little bit of a distraction if we didn't gain additional data from it. So we have gained the data I feel we've needed from the testing that was done for the Battle Royale. And to do additional testing there wouldn't be for the project's sake, it would be for the fans' sake. But I believe, ultimately those resources should be kept on the alphas and betas. Now, is that to say that, again, there's not an opportunity post alphas and betas for us to reintroduce that session-based kind of environment? No, I think that there is an opportunity there. We have to be careful. Obviously, there were some marketing faux pas, I think, made with the Apocalypse release. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult when you go wider with the audience to make sure that the messaging is continuous and received appropriately by all participants. But that really was a testing session for much of the tertiary systems that exist around the backend / launcher / patcher / networking, as well as a test for the action-based projectile and hit scan mechanics and weapon instances that were used. But like I said, we collected that data, and perhaps it just wasn't understood by many of the community what the purpose of that testing was and why it was important to stand that up prior to the alphas. Because it takes a lot to get an alpha stood up for an MMORPG, more so than it does to get a simple battle royale in place.
Yeah, because you didn't want your Alpha 1 to need a complete back-end rework. It was a good thing to know, hey, we need to think about some stuff because we're not getting the performance we want with 100 people. And I tell people that probably once a week, if not twice a week during my show. And there's still people that are like, they just wasted all their time on a BR. They wasted a year. And I'm like, you don't understand game development.
See, that's the third category of bullshit.
there you go. Let's switch gears for a minute. Let's talk Extra Life. I'm gonna say the Extra Life campaigns that you guys do is like amazing because there's like a camera on you guys for like usually 25 hours.
Yeah, I know.
This time it's not on time change weekend, so it's only 24 hours.
I know, that's good.
Are you excited for Extra Life this year?
I am very excited. I will be DMing a Pathfinder campaign again in the world of Vera for Ashes of Creation. We will have some fun participants. There's going to be prizes that we're going to do. There may even be some Alpha 1 keys.
That that ain't that I'm doing a 24-hour stream to support your team. How am I gonna
Hey,
watch? How am I
that's
gonna watch?
You know what? Maybe if you set a goal and hit your goal, maybe that'll be an Alpha 1 key. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
I'll have to talk with Margaret about that.
oh, we're about to talk some goals because you kind of talked yourself into something in casual Discord. I don't think I didn't remember. We're getting there.
What? What are you talking about?
So I believe in big goals. My channel just raised $1,000 for Operation Supply Drop, and I'm setting
Oh,
a
nice. That's awesome. Congrats to your viewers. Very good job, guys.
And I'm setting a $10,000 goal for a 24-hour live stream to shave this dome live. We're going to shave the dome, all of it.
Oh, no. What does your wife think about that?
Well, you know, if I'm on your team, the proceeds from my fundraising flow into your team's goal.
There we go.
And I do remember a statement that for 30,000 raised, a beard might go away.
No. Oh my God.
So can I get you to commit to 30,000 and the beard goes bye-bye? It's for the kids, Steven.
30? I don't know.
You did walk it up from 25. You said 25 was too low. You said maybe 30. So 30,000 and your beard goes bye-bye?
All right. If we do 30,000 in donations to Rady's Children Hospital through Extra Life in 24 hours, has to be part of the 24 hours, I will shave my beard on camera.
There you go, folks. We're gonna now see. In fairness, Extra Life runs all year. I'm going to be talking to Margaret and Steven after this year's campaign, getting the team started from now on in January so us streamers can raise money all year long. But Steven said if we do 30,000 in a 24-hour period, he's going to shave his beard. So 30,000 24-hour period. You're doomed, man, because
somebody in your chat said that I will donate the beard to hairless children. I don't know about that, but I will shave the beard.
There you go, folks. So I suppose I should have said we should sell that pyramid mantelpiece for $5 a piece before I got you to commit.
I really want to have a pyramid decor item, or like a building structure, something that's a pyramid. And every now and then it'll spawn like an effects of a person just coming to the pyramid and getting absorbed into the bottom of it.
I think you should like get it so that every so often a little guy walks around the pyramid and just puts a coin in the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, just puts a coin and then gets absorbed into it. Like that would be great. He becomes a brick. That would be so funny.
Little off script because I didn't think about it. Were you nervous for the PAX panel that you did with Pantheon, New Worlds, Crowfall? Were you nervous being like the new guy among all these like pillars of the MMORPG genre?
No, not at all. I was very, when I originally got approached, actually there were, funny story about that. There were two other panelists who were supposed to be part of the panel. I guess maybe I can't say who they were, but they were from some pretty big projects. And they had backed out at the last second. And I had actually suggested that we invite Pantheon and Crowfall to be part of it because I felt that was more indicative of kind of where the community is at when it comes to kind of these project developments and who's doing the more crowdfunding / community involved development processes. So no, I wasn't nervous. I was excited. You know me. I love to talk. 1, 2. I love to talk about MMOs. So that was an awesome panel.
I do want to say that knowing your not love of public relations, I was kind of like, because I have anxiety from my time in the military. I got anxious for you, and I was kind of like, I was like biting my fingernails. I was like, oh no. Oh no. Oh, and man, you crushed that. You absolutely crushed that panel.
There was definitely some interesting, I think, night and day between some of the philosophies that were expressed. And I always enjoy when there is, significant disagreement on some things, because I think that gives the viewers, an opportunity to understand, where they lie on an issue. There was a particular topic about the quote unquote future of MMORPGs and being, more mobile focused. And I hope I didn't come off as kind of demeaning in my disagreement, but I think it's just interesting to not understand an audience to such a degree, that you're led to believe that mobile is the future of MMOs. Now, that's not to say that mobile markets don't bring in a shit ton of cash. Sure, they can, absolutely. And the metrics would support that. The data would support that. But there will always be a significant demographic that is MMORPG player base, and we are an aging player base, that will only play on PC or desktop. That truth is not changing anytime soon.
Very true. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit here because we're gonna reach the top of the hour, and I never want to hold you if you have to like bounce. But did you take the wiki quiz?
The wiki quiz? No, I haven't seen the wiki quiz.
You sponsored the wiki quiz, and you didn't.
Did I sponsor it? I don't know if I sponsored it.
Intrepid did.
Intrepid did. Well, that must be the community team. Like I said, sometimes when was that recent? I was assuming it was probably recent.
Yeah, it was recent. I'm 99% sure the quiz is still available to take. Just the contest is closed. I failed you, Lord and Sandal. I only got I only got a 47 out of 50.
Ooh, you missed 3. Wow. Well, maybe I should take this quiz.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out which last one I missed. One of them was, as a former teacher, one of them was a really, really good question. One was a gray area question, and then I don't know the third one, but I was interested to know if you'd taken it.
No, I haven't taken. As I understand it, like I said, when I get super busy sometimes, and I hate to say this, but unfortunately sometimes community is kind of the first to fall off the plate of responsibilities. And I think I may have missed that sponsorship or that announcement. But yeah, I'll look into it and love to go take a look at it.
Somebody from the wiki in my chat, make sure you PM Steven the quiz link. And you know, for what you just said, I would actually say that impresses me because you have a community team. If you were trying to micromanage everything, you're never going to get anything done. You're like, okay, when my time goes, I have Margaret, I have Sarah. Who's the third one? I always Danielle.
Pilot Light. Yep.
You have those people. I have to trust the people I've hired. I can't micromanage.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so I would say early on in the project, I did a lot of micromanaging. But as I developed my leads into a firm understanding of my direction and the kind of parameters that I've set that are very granular about the project, that's when delegation and comfortability comes in letting them run with tasks and whatnot. Now, that doesn't mean that, obviously, as kind of the art director and creative director, I go and I do reviews, obviously, and I'll give changes and I'll give insights and whatnot. But I don't typically take a micromanagement role.
I have an interesting question for you. Have you ever heard of a Colossus or a Mega Penguin?
Of a Colossus, like the Colossus of Rhodes?
Yeah, it's on the screen. I don't know if you can see the stream, but it's a penguin that is actually 6 foot 8 feet tall. A Colossus penguin would actually have been taller than Michael Jordan.
Oh, a penguin. Oh yeah, wow. No, that can't be true.
It's true. I'm serious. It's true. They found their remains and stuff in.
Oh, this is like a prehistoric penguin?
It's a prehistoric penguin.
We should totally clone those. Can we like find their body in some sap or something?
Well, I was just gonna say, can we get? Because all the people who think that penguins are fat, stupid creatures, can we get a Colossus penguin in ashes that just messes people up?
That would be great. I whenever I see or read news articles about like some prehistoric, species uncovered in like perfect condition, my first thought is just like, why don't we clone them? Why don't we bring them back and put them in a, try to revitalize their species? That would be a really cool one to have. Just like a giant penguin species.
All right, guys, if I'm not doing anything later tomorrow, I'm gonna roll up Steven like a stat page for Colossus Penguins, arts, templates, all that. We're gonna get Colossus Penguins. Let's see. Did Lazy Peon's video that kicked off that July, August, September hype train? That video has 1.8 million views. Did that catch you guys off guard? Like, were you able to?
I had no idea that he was making it. It definitely caught me off guard, but to Lazy Peon's true fashion, he is an exemplary and masterful content creator. And I think really, the views that he garnered is two-part. Obviously, there's excitement around the game, but he does such a great job in presenting information in a steady and understandable format, and compiles, great clips to kind of co-op his explanation of things as he kind of delves through the video releases we've had. So yeah, I think Lazy Peon's a great content creator. Obviously there's memes about, this is the best game, and then why I quit or whatever. That's I think that's his shtick, so to speak. But Lazy's very, very excited about Ashes. I do talk with him regularly, and it's obviously, it's a great thing when you have fans and content creators of his caliber that are excited about the project. But yeah, it caught us off guard for sure.
Yeah, his one video has nearly as many views as my entire channel. So I spent some time in the drawing board figuring out, what do I do next?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy, I do enjoy watching all the content creation that comes out of our community. Yours, Lazy Peons, pretty much everyone's, even the Lord of Salt. And I like seeing everyone's different takes on a lot of the stuff that we're discussing.
I saw Nodes 3, just so everyone gets the lineup with that, because it's I memed you. I have my own version of Nodes 3. I did it for you because you were too busy, so I did it. People shouldn't be expecting Nodes 3 for another 6 months then, because Nodes 3 ties in with the release of the actual no NDA alpha opening. So a lot of people were thinking Nodes 3 was going to be in December, and I was trying to tell them, no, Nodes 3, its current projection is when Alpha 1 officially starts.
Is that you'd have to double check that for me. I'm not sure if it's Alpha 1 or Alpha 2. Maybe it is Alpha 1.
You know what? That is a perfectly
cite the reference for me.
That's a perfectly fair, and you know what? I respect that. You're literally like, okay, double check that reference for me, because it's been 4 years now. Things move, things change.
I know. It's been a while. No, it has not been 4 years since the last Node series, has it?
No, not since the last Node series, but
okay.
since I will always remember when you guys started, because your original Facebook post for Ashes of Creation was on my birthday.
Oh, was it? That's cool.
Closing up here, people are dying to know, because originally you wanted to have all 8 archetypes in Alpha 1, right? And then you dialed it down, understandably. You said 5, and then the rest will roll in. We know it's Cleric, Tank, and Mage, and people drive me nuts. Every single stream, they're asking me what are the other 2. My guess is Ranger and Fighter, because you've said specifically Bard and Summoner are at the end of the development, and you already have the stealth mechanic really from the testing in the Battle Royale. So I'm saying it's Ranger and Fighter.
That is accurate. It is Ranger and Fighter. Good guess.
The Rogue fans don't like me because I say to them that there's not really a huge difference mechanically between a fighter and a rogue when you're laying out the initial development. Like, yes, as they walk mile 1, mile 10, mile 40, they become radically different. But
Yes.
at mile 1, a fighter and a rogue are roughly the same developmentally.
Yeah, I would say that's generally true at the levels we're testing at currently, like 10, 1 through 20. Obviously they do depart, but I would say their general role levels 1 through 20. But yeah, I that's a good guess. It is the Fighter and the Ranger. And again, that's because the other classes, particularly the Summoner and Bard, take a considerable amount of additional feature development in order for many of their skills to be the target skills that we have for those classes.
Well, plus the summoner is supposed to fill the missing roles in your party, so you don't know how to make a summoner tank well until you know how to make the tank well.
Sort of. Really, it comes down to the summon system itself. There's just a considerable amount of engineering work required to code the type of design tools and support necessary to facilitate the summoner class. And that's because of how the pet system is unique in that regard. And then additionally, kind of the skills that go to buff and or augment your summons. That's the direction that I'd like to take the summoning class in. And from a priority standpoint, it was just going to require, this chunk of work as opposed to this chunk of work for the Fighter or the Ranger. And we decided to err on the side of safety and, punt that one off a little bit later.
So I in July we talked about you no longer have a full staff page. If people want to know why you don't list everyone on the staff page, because I'm going to keep streaming after you depart. But my math tells me right around the 90 person mark, give or take, is what Intrepid should be at now.
I think we're actually at like 87 or 80. I think we're 87.
Okay. I just want, because people get worried because, like I said in that interview, people go to your website now and there used to be 48, 52 people and now they see 11 and they're like, oh my God, Intrepid downsized. I'm like, no, they go watch that interview. Steven explains it. But now that we know 87, right around 90, we'll take that. Is that going to be weird for you when you get back into the office in the spring? Because you're
I've thought about that a little bit. It's like, hey, when we get back into the studio, there's going to be a number of voices with whom I don't have, face context with that will kind of be like meeting all over again. But no, I mean, I have a very intimate interview process. I still, even at this number of employees, personally conduct one-on-one prior to a hiring. So the final kind of interview step. And during obviously that process, and as the new, people come on board, it's important to me that, obviously talent and skill and experience, those are one subsection of requirements, and we're pretty particular on those. But there are two other components. One is also the cultural fit. Are they a fit for the team? And then the third is their passion and commitment level. And the passion and commitment level is a very important thing to me because it takes a lot to onboard someone and to get them caught up with the complexity of the project. And we don't want, to onboard people that just have the talent and skill, and 6 months down the road they're burned out, or this is too much to chew. So I literally in my final interview step try to scare the person. I'm like, listen, my go-to question is, do you understand what you're getting yourself into? Do you understand the scope of work that's required? Do you feel that you can commit for the long haul, what is going to be asked of you. And if you don't think that, let me tell you right now, you should not be pursuing this position.
Well, yeah.
You know, that's kind of my last line of defense. And really, I'm very happy with the people we brought on in this last hiring round. We brought on some pretty amazing, talent, but also one thing that was unique about this last hiring round, we had over 1,000 applications because of the exposure from 4K video to the timeline of releasing the 4K video, Lazy Peon's release, and then the interviews. That brought in a significant pool of talent that were not just experienced people looking for a job, but were experienced people that discovered Ashes and wanted to be part of that project. And it's very exciting to interview someone who you can hear in their voice just how badly they want to be part of the team, because they're excited about the project and passionate. That is a different degree of the recruitment process. So I'm excited to go into our next hiring round, which we're aiming for that to be beginning of the first quarter next year, and we're probably going to target around, I would say, around 30 additional seats for that hiring round, but we'll see how that goes.
Was that your alarm? You have to depart?
Yes.
Yeah. No problem. I appreciate you swinging by. I know a lot of people are like, have been pinging me. Where are all the hard questions? That's not what today was. Today was talk about the letter.
I'll give you one last question if you want to do a hard one. If you want to do it, yeah.
One last question and a hard one. You guys encountered a lot of difficulty and bugs, expected, not unexpected, moving from 4.23 to 4.25.
Yes.
Maybe set you back a little bit just because that's the nature of the beast. 4.26 has that sexy water enhancement, and we're seeing on the screen, and we see some boats. Are you guys gonna move to 4.26 to do the water, or are you gonna stick with 4.25 for the time being and push some development?
So, sorry, I was eating a lemon drop, a sugar-free lemon drop. So here's the thing about, I guess there's two parts to that question. Let me answer the first part. First thing is, yes, we did experience some significant challenges in the update from Unreal 4.23 to 4.25. Anytime you make two engine jumps, a lot of things can break. But what compounded that difficulty was that we had introduced some significant changes to how certain ability instances, how they work on the back end, how they have the network component there, as well as mounts and some of the movement systems, because those three tend to be the most taxing when it comes to large amounts of players in a single area. And when we did the updates, a lot of things broke. a lot of things broke. And we had to essentially, what would normally be done during a polish/QA pass, which is kind of like, just prior to shipping a test client, things broke so much that we had to divert attention to actually reauthoring some of the way those things function. And that took a good 6 weeks, roughly, out of probably half the engineering team and half the design team.
Wow.
So it was a significant challenge. The second component there in 4.26, yes, they do have a water feature that is being introduced as an out-of-the-box function for the engine. We currently have our own answers for both buoyancy, water physics, water shader. Now, that doesn't mean as new technology gets released in these updates that we don't take a look at them and, will it be a wholesale exchange? for our system versus their system, if it works the way we want it to. It has really the focus on water physics and buoyancy and stuff. That comes down to performance as well as visuals. Unreal does a great job at presenting a very nice visual, presentation of water, but Unreal isn't predominantly a MMO engine. Are there
Right.
MMORPG projects
Absolutely.
within Unreal? Yes, they are. But when Unreal releases essentially out of the box features, they're not made for MMOs, conceptually what they're building. So we have to take that tech, we have to evaluate it, and if there's things we can take from it, we will. If it's a wholesale exchange, we can do that too. But essentially, that just takes some research and development.
Perfect answer. All right. My community has said many, many times that they want me to thank you on their behalf. Not just because I always say thank you to you when you stop by, but thank you on their behalf. And they've been giving you hearts and hypes, and
Aw.
everybody give Steven hypes, hearts, whatever you got. He's a good guy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And like I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again for the people that weren't here. Yeah, you told me going in I didn't have to apologize to you. It's kind of just been gnawing at the back of my head. I'm thinking about I'm going to have to rewatch that now and how that came off, because my intention wasn't to be like belligerent and aggressive. But yeah, you do have my apology. I sometimes get off the chain when I'm streaming, and that if you do watch it, realize it wasn't a prepared video. I was streaming live and I chopped it up for a YouTube video, and then I will
That's okay. Don't let it weigh too heavily on your heart.
It does though, because you're a good guy and we have a good working relationship, and I will close the loop with the person who alerted you as well that the message has been received, because it wasn't out of the I wasn't pulling a content creator that you've had to boot out of the program. If I don't want to say any, that wasn't what I was trying to do. So
thank goodness for that. That guy was a little off the hook. He was kind of crazy.
All right. Well, I'd say enjoy your Saturday, but I know you're working today, so get out of here. Go build us an MMO.
Absolutely. Will do. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. It was fun. Have an awesome day.
Bye, Steven. What are you still doing here? Nobody ever stays this long. This is the end screen. Well, since you're here, there's a couple other videos I think you should check out. And all those names, those are my patrons over at Patreon. I couldn't do this without them. So, big thanks to them for all their support.